Hi, I'm back again, and this time I want to talk about how your location affects how you walk into purpose. And I'm going to read the Bible first because I want us to understand this concept and see how does this thing work when it comes to our mental health. How does it work when it comes to us walking in purpose? And so I'm going to read from Acts 28, from verse 1 to about 11 there. So, once safely on shore, we found out that the island was called Malta. Now, this is when Apostle Paul had been shipwrecked with other people. He had been taken as a prisoner. The islanders showed us unusual kindness. They built a fire and welcomed us all because it was raining and cold. Paul piled a pile, no, Paul gathered a pile of brushwood, and as he put it on the fire, a viper driven out by the heat fastened itself on his hand. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, "This man must be a murderer. For though he escaped from the sea, the goddess justice has not allowed him to live." But Paul shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no ill effects. The people expected him to swell or suddenly fall dead, but after waiting a long time and seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said he was a god. There was an estate nearby that belonged to Publius, the chief official of the island. He welcomed us to his home, that is Paul now saying, and showed us generous hospitality for 3 days. 3 days. Just a moment there, even before I continue with reading the word. When we open our doors of our homes to people, not to just anyone, but to people who are bringing purpose, people who are on a mission for God's glory, it brings a special blessing. And also when we open our homes, because sometimes God can allow us to open our homes to people, not that they are well intended, but because in that season they actually need kindness, they need hospitality. God is a rewarder, never forget that, of those who seek him. Whatever you reap, you sow. Okay, let me continue. Now this guy's father, his father was ill in bed, suffering from fever and dysentery. Paul went in to see him, and after prayer, placed his hands on him and healed him. When this happened, the rest of those on the island who were ill came and were cured. So I'm going to stop on verse 10. They honored us in many ways, and when we were ready to sail, they furnished us with the supplies we needed. So the reason why I talked about it briefly, I said, where are you located? Because location has an effect on where you are to go. Location has an effect on your purpose. So right now in your life, where are you located? And by asking you that simple question, it could mean maybe physically where you are in your home, maybe where you're working. Is that where you should be? Are you actually exercising your gifts, your talents in that space? Now, another question I'm going to ask, how is your location equipping you for purpose? Because sometimes in the season, because all of us are in different seasons, you might be in a season where maybe you've just had a relapse. Let me talk about that part. When you've just had a relapse, I could call it like you have been shipwrecked of sorts. Anyone who has ever had a breakdown will understand. I've been there. When you have had a relapse, it's like you have been up here and you're pulled down. Confidence, you're relearning. Sometimes you even want to run away from the public. You would rather be in that space of your familiar space. So how is location equipping you for purpose? I want us to ask those questions. And another question you can ask, how is your location ushering you into your next season? So sometimes God allows us to go in certain places because he's ushering us into a new season. So as you are recovering from your crisis of the relapse, maybe he's building you up to tell your story so that other people are healed, so that other people get help. So don't ignore the crisis, because you can imagine when they were shipwrecked, I'm sure Paul and the rest of the men were wondering, now we are shipwrecked, where do we go? Being shipwrecked means the ship is done, it is totally destroyed, it has sunk, and you're using planks of wood, those planks of wood to reach to the island. So sometimes when you're grappling with your mental health, it's like you're holding on to that plank of wood to your next level of sanity, to your next level of purpose. Don't ignore those moments. Sinking down doesn't mean it's over. Sinking means God has just started to work, because you begin to understand, how did I get there? You begin to understand, maybe I could do things different. Maybe I need to forgive more. Maybe I need to take care of myself better. Maybe I should eat better. What is your location now? Where are you at? So I said the first time I asked you, where are you located? Where you are located is your way of finding out, where am I right now, my mental health? Are you good? Are you fair? Are you depressed? Are you hypermanic? Where are you at? That's important. Next, is it a place where you're growing? And by the way, not everybody needs to tell their story. I've met people who are not comfortable with telling their stories, and that is okay. No one is forcing you to tell your story, but at least you could be part of the mental health awareness campaign if you don't want to tell your story, by supporting in terms of sharing your money, your resources, your time to reach out to people. And one of those things that I do is the Ketura Mental Health Awards. So if you would want to sponsor, you would want to partner, you want to volunteer your time, it would be lovely to connect with us. I'm going to share my WhatsApp number in the link so that you know how to, you reach out and we can talk on how you could be part of this, But also, where are you located? What is your next season? Sometimes we are stuck in the familiar because we are comfortable in the familiar. But is that where it all ends? Comfort can be a prison sometimes. You can imagine, for Paul to get to Malta, the ship had to be wrecked. So sometimes, even when your emotions don't make sense, maybe that is your shipwreck, so that you get to your next level. The ship had to be wrecked. Remember that. Are you in a shipwreck? Maybe you're in a turbulent season financially. That is a kind of shipwreck. Maybe God is calling you to a higher standard. Learn about money. Learn how it multiplies. Learn how to make it multiply. So that aside, for your next season, when the ship has wrecked, I think you can see what happened to Paul. Paul was able to talk about God by exercising power. He exercised the power. When the fire came and when they made that fire and then the snake wrapped itself around his hand, what happened? Everybody was expecting disaster. He shook it off. Shook it off. There are things we just need to shake them off. What is that holding you back? Is it unforgiveness? Shake it off. What is that holding you back? Is it being worrisome? Shake it off. What is that holding you back? Are you feeling you will never measure up to anything? Shake it off. What is that holding you back? Shake it off. And then step out. Help other people. Step out. Impact lives. Step out. Transform lives. And that's why the Keturah Mental Health Awards are here. The Mental Health Awards, the Keturah Mental Health Awards are here so that we celebrate people making impact in the mental health space. And as we celebrate these people, it doesn't end at the celebration. They continue to impact. We have created a community. Right now, we are also in Southern Africa. And we are partnering with Arise and Shine Heirs. The organization behind Keturah Mental Health Awards is Nantamba Wellness Support. However, the project, the initiative is under Heart to Heart Chat Mental Health Program. Come join us. Currently, we are supported, we partner with the Ministry of Health Mental Health Program, the Mental Health Department. We are looking forward to more partners. Till next time, remember, where are you located? Are you walking in purpose? Is it equipping you for the next season? Till next time.